Hey everyone, what's going on? Calamity here to bring you another episode of the Anything Goes podcast. We got a lot of news to talk about today. We have the WandaVision finale, we have some entertainment news, we have NFL news. Actually, probably the most is going to be NFL. A little bit of MLB and a little bit of NBA. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off with the NFL like we usually do, except for last week where my notes were kind of jumbled everywhere and kind of went here, there, and everywhere. But today we got it organized. We're going to go with the NFL. First bit of news is coming from the Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs have released left tackle Eric Fisher and offensive lineman Mitchell Schwartz. From what I understand, I'm pretty sure both these guys were pretty good offensive linemen. I don't know. I think they released them mainly for salary cap reasons, because the salary cap did go down by about $16 million for the NFL, which is the first time either ever or in a long time that the salary cap has gone down for the NFL. So I think that played a big part into that decision. Then we have New Orleans is releasing Emmanuel Sanders, veteran wide receiver. So he is now a free agent. The Bucks re-sign Levante David to a 2-year, $25 million deal. Chris Carson is expected to be testing free agency after the Seahawks inform him they will not be placing him underneath the franchise tag. So he's a free agent. Titans are not signing tight end Jonnu Smith to a franchise tag, so they made him a free agent. Same thing goes with wide receiver from the Detroit Lions, Kenny Golladay, and Steelers linebacker Bud Dupree. Those guys are all free agents now because they didn't get franchise tagged. We got Chris Godwin being franchise tagged by the Bucks. Dak Prescott finally agrees to a deal with the Dallas Cowboys. It's a 4-year, $160 million deal. And I believe 136 of it was guaranteed. 136 or 126 is guaranteed. I think it's 136 million is guaranteed. So good for him. I'm kind of surprised that he would want to sign with the Cowboys again, but they got a deal done, and he's their quarterback. John Brown, wide receiver for the Bills, was released. Allen Robinson signed a franchise tag with the Bears, and Kyle Rudolph has been released by the Vikings. That's NFL news. We got a little NCAA football news. Kansas and Les Miles have agreed to part ways after Miles is being investigated by the NCAA. So that's kind of interesting. That does it for NFL news. A lot of this stuff, or actually a lot of these guys, I want the Patriots to sign. So they just made a trade. Actually, there's another piece of news right there. The Patriots made a trade for Raiders offensive lineman Trent Brown, who they had a couple years ago. He, I believe, was a Pro Bowl offensive lineman. I could be wrong, but he played really well for the Raiders. So he'll definitely be a good addition to the Patriots, but unfortunately, because of that, Patriots had to release Joe Thuney, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. You kind of have to work around this salary cap issue, and I would like the Patriots to sign, because Hunter Henry's available. I would like them to get Hunter Henry for tight end. That would fix their tight end issue. I would like them to sign Kenny Golladay. That would fix their wide receiver issue, in my opinion. I've heard that they're trying to trade N'Keal Harry, which I don't really like that much, because I like N'Keal Harry. I know he's had his struggles on offense, but I think he's going to be a good wide receiver in a couple years. I know they've given him a few chances, but I think it's going to suck if he ends up leaving. Now, if they don't get Hunter Henry, I think Jonnu Smith is a good name that they should pick up on for a tight end. And I also believe that they should try and go after Bud Dupree. He's a pretty good linebacker. He's a very physical linebacker for the Steelers that is now a free agent. And if he was to sign with them, having him, Dante Hightower come back, Patrick Chung come back, their defense would look amazing. So I think for me, I think that's what the Patriots should do, just because, they're my favorite team. So kind of looking for them to do something. And I think they should also try and get one of those Chiefs linemen that the Chiefs released, because I think they're both pretty good. Now again, salary cap goes into it. know how the deals really work, so I'm going to leave that up to them. But I hope they definitely do something because they need to. Alright, on to the NBA. We have Heat center Myers Leonard has been fined $50,000, suspended for 1 week, and required to participate in a cultural diversity program for using a slur while streaming on Twitch, I believe. I saw it. Definitely wasn't good. Wasn't good to look for him. He did admit to it, apologize for it, and trying to move on from it. So I think both the Heat fining him and the NBA suspending him, or I don't know if it was even the NBA or the Heat that suspended him, but either way, good job by them. And we'll see if he actually learns from it and doesn't do it again. He shouldn't, but you never know. We got LaMarcus Aldridge and the Spurs have mutually agreed to part ways. And Blake Griffin and the Pistons agreed to part ways. And then not immediately after, but like a day or two after, Blake Griffin signed with the Nets. So the Nets now have pretty much... I know Blake Griffin isn't what he used to be, but they have a pretty nasty starting five, if I must say so myself. So I think they're kind of the favorites right now. If they're not, I don't know what team is. If the Lakers are, I don't see the Lakers really beating that starting five if they're all healthy. And then we got finalists for the Basketball Hall of Fame are Bill Russell as a coach, Chris Bosh, Paul Pierce, my favorite player, Lauren Jackson, Tim Hardaway, Chris Webber, Ben Wallace, Yolanda Griffith, and Michael Cooper. Now, I don't know too much about Lauren Jackson or Yolanda Griffith or Michael Cooper, if I'm being completely honest. But I think Paul Pierce, Chris Bosh, and Bill Russell as a coach should all get in. Ben Wallace and Tim Hardaway, if they don't get in this time, should probably get in next time. That's kind of how I feel about that. So that's that, and then we have some NCAA basketball news. Duke is out of the ACC tournament because of a positive COVID-19 test, which sucks for Duke because I think that means they're not going to be in the March Madness tournament, which is going to be weird not having Duke in there. But I believe they have to play their conference tournament to get into that tournament. So, and if they don't play, then obviously they're not going to get in it. We have one thing from MLB actually. Just happened, I believe, yesterday or the other day. Jake Odorizzi, I don't know how to say his name, signs with the Houston Astros on a 2-year deal with a player option at the end. So just Houston solidifying their starting rotation. He should be starting rotation, I believe. We got Esports news. Cloaksy leaves FaZe Clan after being with them for a few years, I believe, about 4. So that was kind of interesting there. And then the rest of the esports news is all Call of Duty stuff. So we got Call of Duty had their first major last week. And Atlanta FaZe ended up winning. Dallas Empire got 2nd. New York Subliners got 3rd. And Optic Chicago got 4th. Definitely a disappointing tournament if you're Chicago. I mean, obviously, if you don't win, it's disappointing regardless. But for Optic, it's definitely disappointing for me. I know I put them kind of in there with my top 4 was pretty correct. The only team I got wrong was New York. I had Florida in there. But actually, I think New York had to beat. Did they have to beat Florida and then Optic? I can't remember, but I know Florida obviously was out before the final day. And New York played Chicago to go on to the semis, where they'd have to play Dallas. And New York came out firing. And Optic, I don't know what it is with Optic. They're either really good or they just underperform. They come out really flat. I noticed then in their game against I think it was Empire. I think the first map was a hardpoint map, and I forget what map it was on. I want to say Checkmate, but I could be wrong. They came out really flat. They were already down. I think it was close to 100 points right off the start, and that, to me, you can't do that. They weren't hitting shots. They weren't getting kills. They didn't have rotations. Empire owned all of it. Then Optic started to get into it a little bit later on in the match, but by then it was too late. They did the same thing, I think, against New York, and then Search and Destroy came against New York, and Optic had been playing pretty well with Search and Destroy, but then New York on Garrison S&D destroyed them 6-1, so it was not a good look for Optic to do that. I think they'll bounce back in the next stage to do well. I hope they do, but I think just sometimes they come out flat and they can't do that. This title, they can't afford to do that. So that's kind of where I stand. FaZe played amazing throughout the entire tournament, went undefeated. They were nasty. Empire played pretty well. They played pretty well. Yeah, they had that one when they went up against FaZe. I mean, FaZe kind of shut Hugh down, and he was going off the entire tournament. So for them to shut him down was pretty impressive, and that's really what made it so Dallas didn't win, unfortunately. And Dallas ended up beating New York in the semis, and then the grand finals was Dallas and Atlanta, and obviously Atlanta won. The point standings after stage 1, we have in first FaZe. It pretty much goes the way it went in the tournament in the major, but with a little flip here or there. We got FaZe in first, Empire second, Optics third, Subliners fourth, Thieves fifth, Gorillas 6th, then the Rocker, then the Mutineers, then the Ultra, then Legion, and then Surge, and then the Royal Ravens finish it up. So obviously those standings are accurate because that's pretty much how well they played throughout the entire stage. So it kind of definitely reflects that. But we'll see what happens next. Like I said, I think Optic will probably bounce back, and I don't know if they'll win next major, but I think they'll have definitely play better because they usually tend to focus up after stuff like that happens. So we'll see. Entertainment news. We have the Peaky Blinders show on Netflix started filming season 6 this past week. I have not seen that show. It's on my Netflix list. I have so many shows I have to watch to try and get through before I start watching that. But I've heard good things about it. I want to watch it very soon, so we'll see if I can work my way to that. Disney Plus has surpassed 100 million subscribers. Crazy number for Disney, but well worth it. Disney also has confirmed that Black Widow is releasing in theaters May 7th. So they are not really pushing that back or releasing it on just Disney Plus or Disney Plus and theaters. It's just going to be in theaters May 7th. So they're kind of sticking to their guns there. Avengers Campus is scheduled to open this year at Disneyland. I know that's not really entertainment, but it goes along with Disney, so kind of threw that in there. Marvel Studios' X-Men reboot will be called The Mutants, so that'll be interesting to see how they do that. A Quiet Place 2 moves up the release date to May 28th, 2021. This was announced by... I feel bad because I should know if he's the director or not. I don't think he's the director, but the writer, I believe, John Krasinski. He is the first one who said anything about it on Twitter. Said that we kind of need something to look forward to, so he pushed it. I guess he technically moved it down because I think it was later than that, and then they brought it back down to May 20. Did I say May 26th? I think it's May 28th, 2021. And then Warner Brothers is developing a Harry Potter and the Cursed Child film. I know nothing about that. I loved Harry Potter movies. Haven't really read the books. So we'll see what that one's about. I guess I literally know nothing about it other than they're developing that film. So yeah, so that's all of that, and then we got the WandaVision finale. So if you have not watched it, turn it off now because I'm going to be talking about it and spoiling a whole bunch of shit. So definitely do not continue to watch. Last warning. And now, all right. So I thought the finale was good. I enjoyed it. Unfortunately, the cameo was not what I thought it was going to be, and Paul Bettany definitely kind of fooled us with his I've always wanted to work with this person kind of thing. So, which, I mean, in hindsight now it's kind of funny, but I was still disappointed. I wanted to see someone else come in there and do some shit, but it was definitely a good finale. Definitely a good way to sum it up. The only thing I'm confused at is where White Vision is now. I was expecting him to do something in the finale other than just fly off, so that was kind of disappointing. But in terms of like wrapping up the story and setting up for something else, definitely did its job. And I was surprised by the end credit scenes. Those definitely intrigued me. I don't know where Monica's going to go now or what she's going to be involved in. It could be Secret Wars because I know the Skrulls are involved with that. So she could be involved in that, or she could be involved in Captain Marvel 2 because I don't really know what that film is going to be about, or even like the plot for it or anything. So it could be either one of those, and I know Captain Marvel deals with pretty much Skrulls. So we will see, I guess, where it goes from here. I'm super hyped for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That I think is going to be my favorite thing of all the MCU because it looks awesome. It's supposed to be the most violent Marvel thing that they've worked on, which is going to surprise me because I've seen The Punisher and Daredevil for that matter. Those two shows were pretty brutal. The Punisher was more brutal, at least the end of season 1. That finale was brutal. So we'll see how that goes. But supposedly WandaVision sets up Doctor Strange 2, which also sets up Spider-Man 3. So we'll see how that goes into this. Also, I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Agnes, because technically she's still alive, she's still there. She's just kind of brainwashed. But I know the actress that plays her said that she would love to come back for anything Marvel's doing because she loved it. She loved her time doing WandaVision. And I'm assuming she'll come back because I don't think they'll leave that much of a cliffhanger where you're kind of like, all right, well, she's still there. I don't know if she's going to get out. Maybe she's going to be good at some point. She could be like a Loki, where we're kind of rooting for the bad guy there. But no, it was definitely a good finale, good way to end it, and I'm excited for what's to come next for the MCU. And I hope you guys are too, because I think it's going to be a crazy ride, especially this next year or two. Probably 2 years, actually, I would say. The 2021 and 2022 are going to be crazy years for Marvel. And I'm excited about it. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Anything Goes podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did for more Call of Duty content and for more podcast episodes. Again, I'm hoping to get a guest on here so we can go back and forth. I just got to work on who that's going to be and kind of what we will debate about. But yeah, so good things coming up on the channel. Stay tuned, like and subscribe as I said. Follow me on Twitter at the same handle, TDG Calamity on there. And I will see you guys in the next video or next week if you just come by for the podcast episodes. See ya.